Hey, are you an entrepreneur, someone that is struggling to make sales in your business? Or maybe you have this voice in your head, in the back of your mind, telling you that you're not ready to sell your product or service yet, or that selling is bad. Well, if you answered yes to any of those questions, then this show is for you. I want to welcome you to a special edition. That's right. Here we go. Special edition of Hang Out with Marc. And today we have a very special guest who I'm going to introduce in a moment's time. But for all those that are tuning in for their first time, Hang Out with Marc is a show that is dedicated towards inspiring you by showing you what's possible through adding guests to our show who can add value, who are walking the talk, inspiring you by giving you specific action steps you can take right now, today, to start moving forward in your business and in your life. And when you have those two things, you're now able to operate your life and your business and create it from a place of freedom to take the action that you know that you deserve. So I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in today, and everyone that's made Hang Out with Marc a weekly habit. I'm going to ask you guys, if you want to make Hang Out with Marc a weekly habit, the best way to do it is to go to www.marcwithac.com. You can sign up for the email list there to hang out with Marc, and I'll keep you tuned each and every week with the guests that are going to be on the show, as well as this week's topic, so you guys are kept in the know. But without further ado, today, guys, we are talking about the stigma that may or may not be associated with selling in your business. Now, entrepreneurs, if you're brand new to the game, or even if you've been in for a while, this may be something that you've had to deal with. And our very special guest today really doesn't need an introduction, at least for the community that I've invited to this hangout. But I'm going to give him an introduction anyways, and he'll probably have some blanks to fill in here as well. We have Dr. Joe Vitale on the Hang Out with Marc show today. And Dr. Joe Vitale, many of you have seen him in the movie The Secret. He was talking about the law of abundance, I think, or the law of attraction, actually, in that movie. Not to mention, he does know a lot about the law of abundance. He is also a songwriter and singer. He's written, to my knowledge, 3 albums. He'll probably correct me. Maybe he's done more by now. And he's written over 60 books. Now, what a lot of people don't know about Joe is that Joe actually started when the internet started to become a big thing. And he actually started out as a copywriter and a marketer first. So for everyone that's watching this and you're a business owner, really the stuff that Joe has to say today is going to be relevant to you no matter what business you're in, no matter what online company you're trying to create, no matter what you're going through, because he first has the business skills to create every single thing that I talked about. And we're going to dive in deep today and really find out how you can use some of this information to take your life to the next level. But Joe, I wanted to pass it over to you and let you say hi to the audience, as well as fill me with anything else that I may have missed there that the audience you think should know about yourself before we kick it off.
Anything you missed? There's a whole lot. There's a whole lot. There's a whole life here that hasn't been addressed. You mentioned music. I've recorded 15 albums so far. 15. I love the eyes that just exploded. 15 albums, 5 singer-songwriter albums, about 100-some songs. Some of them nominated for the Posy Award, which I'm bragging to mention it at all, but I have to do that because I'm proud of myself. I've written about 70 books at this point. I even have about 30 ebooks that are written and not even released yet, so I've got more of those in the works, and I'm working on 2 or 3 other books. The big thing that most people don't know, and maybe your audience doesn't know, is that I was homeless back in the 70s in Dallas, and I was in poverty for 10 years in Houston. And I had to crawl my way through that struggle and through that darkness and through that muck in order to make a name for myself back in Houston, and then make a name for myself on the internet, as you pointed out. So it's been a long road, but the internet experience, the entrepreneurial experience, and then the spiritual experience, all of that has come together to make that who I am today, which I'm pleased to report is doing pretty well. So thank you for the honor of being here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Joe. And One of the things I wanted to talk about directly in that introduction before we even dive in deeper is, okay, a lot of people, your experience, like you came from someone, like you said, was homeless for 10 years. And I feel like a lot of the entrepreneurs, some of the entrepreneurs that I meet today may feel like in some way, shape, or form that they're homeless. Now, they're not really homeless, but the reality is some of them are having so much trouble. They're making $0 in their business. They're wondering how they're going to pay their rent. They're coming from this place of scarcity, like there's not enough sometimes, and they're trying to create income in their business from a place of scarcity. And so I find that there's two problems that sometimes when people face. They try to take actions from a place of scarcity because they're trying to make things happen so quickly, or they just can't do it because they have this stigma associated with selling that they haven't dealt with, and it's making them ineffective at selling their product and service and offering what they deserve to offer to the world. And so there's kind of two mindsets that I feel like from my audience that I've come across that really need to be addressed. But from your standpoint, you dealing with entrepreneurs, you dealing with people that come across these same mental blocks, as we'll call them, what is usually the first step that you recommend that an entrepreneur would take if they're struggling with this mindset or this stigma associated with selling, that's preventing them from selling their products here?
Yeah, those are great questions, and both of them can go in different directions here. But let me go to what's the foundation of both of these questions. And that is, there's two things going on. One is our beliefs about money. Most of us still have beliefs that are pretty deep within us, and I can begin one, and everybody watching, including you, is going to be able to finish it. Money is the root of all
evil.
Everybody just said it. So just imagine you can be doing all the right things. You're running the right ads. You're doing the right to-dos every day. You're taking care of yourself. You're doing your affirmations. You're doing your scripting. You're doing your meditation. You're doing your visualization. You're doing all the right things, but money isn't coming in. Well, it's not going to come in if you think it's bad for you. It's not going to come in if you think it's evil, or if it's tainted, or if it's in some way, shape, or form going to hurt you. You will allow just enough money to survive because unconsciously you are wired for survival. So you will allow even what you think to be evil to come in if it'll keep you breathing. But if you want more than that, you have to make peace with money. That's the first thing. The second thing is most people don't feel they're good enough. They're not good enough to be loved. They're not good enough to accept good in their lives. They're not good enough to thrive and prosper. They don't have a sense of deservingness. And that's the second thing. Now, I wrote a whole book on this called Attract Money Now, and I give it away. Your people can have it. Just go to attractmoneynow.com and they can download the book. They can read the book. If they want to buy it, it's on Amazon. But the point is, it covers what I'm saying are the root causes for people having problems, struggling. And this was the case with me. And we're struggling unconsciously. We're not consciously saying, well, I want money, but it's evil, so I'm going to keep it away. We don't think about that. But it's an operating belief in our mind. So that very first problem that you're talking about with people doing some things but not getting money and having problems paying the rent, or they're worried about it, or coming from desperation, that's a mindset. And at the core of that mindset is money is bad for you in some way, shape, or form, or you don't deserve good because you think you're less than enough to have good things in your life. That's that whole side. The other side of what you're talking about is the stigma about selling. And what I tell people is forget selling. You shouldn't be selling at all. You shouldn't be doing any selling. You shouldn't be doing any marketing. What you should be doing is sharing. You should be sharing your love for your product or service, your enthusiasm for your product or service, your belief for your product or service. If you actually don't believe in your product or service, it's going to feel like work. It's going to be hell. It's going to be a struggle. You're not going to enjoy it, and you are not going to prosper. So if you are trying to sell a product or service you don't believe in, get out of it, because that's not where you need to be. You want to find your passion, your product, your service that excites you. And then you share your excitement. You don't sell anybody. You share your excitement. And I will pause for you to absorb that.
And so I'm still absorbing and I'm taking notes at the same time, Joe, because I believe that helps me. One of the things I like to do, I believe that by writing notes, writing things down, it helps me learn the material better, especially the things that stand out or give me aha moments. So
yes.
I really appreciate you sharing that. And so one of the things that really hit home for me and what you just said was this whole aspect of almost like this word selling doesn't even really exist. It's sharing and having an excitement for what you want to share.
Right.
And when you naturally are excited about something and you share it, people feel that enthusiasm and they want it too, but you don't even feel like you're selling.
That's right.
Right?
People respond to enthusiasm. They respond to emotion. Let me give you an example right now. In this moment in time, there's a movie out on Netflix about Tony Robbins. It just came out 3 days ago. I couldn't wait to see it because I like Tony Robbins. I'm a fan of Tony Robbins, and he helped influence me with his early books 15, 20 years ago. I watched the movie. I was hypnotized. It's a spellbinding movie. I cried at times. I was moved at times. I was at awe at times. I ended up watching that movie 3 times since it came out just the other day, because it came out on the 15th, and I think today's the 18th. I've watched it 3 times. I've Twittered it. I've Facebooked it. I put it on my personal Facebook page. I put it on my fan page on Facebook. And I wrote a review of it today and put it on my blog. And then I told the world that I reviewed the movie and put it on my blog. What's going on right now? I am not selling that movie at all. But depending on who you talk to, they're going to think like, man, Joe just went off the charts and selling the Tony Robbins movie, which is called I Am Not Your Guru, and it's on Netflix. But all I'm doing in my heart is sharing my genuine enthusiasm for that movie. I want people to see it. And that wanting to see it is authentic. So somebody else, if they're super critical, could say, Joe was doing a whole lot of selling there. In my mind, I was never selling at all. All I was doing was telling you something that I believed in, and believed in with enough gusto that my enthusiasm kind of reaches out and grabs you and says, go see the frickin' movie. That's selling, in quotations. I'm sharing, that's all I'm doing, but I'm doing it with enthusiasm.
I love it. And Joe, and I can testify to that because I did look over your social media and see you posting about that movie as much as you said that you did. And so what I took away from that as well was this whole intention behind it, right? Your intention was like, oh, I'm not going to do this to sell, Tony Robbins' movie or get commissions off it or whatever. I'm just doing it because I'm so excited. It impacted me so much that I want to share it. So my intention was not just the word sharing, but my intention deep down to my subconscious and my conscious, everything is really about embodying sharing. Emotionally, you connected with, and that's what you said at the beginning. So I think that's important.
Let me interrupt you there, Mark, because that's a great distinction. You actually have me thinking about this going a little bit deeper. It's not just that I'm excited and I want to share my enthusiasm. I actually think I'm serving you. Saying that Tony Robbins movie, I Am Not Your Guru, that is on Netflix, is something that truly moved me, and I think it'll move you. So it's not me just kind of saying, hey, I went to a great restaurant and I had great food and I share my enthusiasm for it. In this case, I'm sharing what I think serves people, but I'm sharing it in a way that's based in my authentic spirit of genuine enthusiasm. That's the core of it. But it's not just sharing. I'm also thinking of serving, and I think that's a distinction.
Yeah, 1,000%. And that was the other word that came to top of mind when you talked about sharing in the beginning. I was trying to make the connection between serving, and you just kind of went took it another level deeper, and I see how that's going to impact people. But one of the things that just keeps coming to my mind here is we're talking about serving people. We're talking about providing value. And one of the things that comes to top of my mind is as I look at you, one of the things I really respect, Joe, is when I did the introduction, like there's so many different things that you do. And I think it comes back to the mindset component, right? Where people don't, like you talk about, some people don't believe that they deserve to offer a specific product or service. They don't believe in themselves yet. And so there's hesitation and there's resistance, and that just keeps them where they're at, or just enough to get by. And when you talked about that, I think about you because you do so many different things. You're an author, right? You're a songwriter and you're a singer. You help people, you coach people, you coach entrepreneurs, you coach business owners. You are also, you know, a prominent person in spirituality, and wrote books and material on spiritual marketing, on running a business from a spiritual aspect. And again, a copywriter by trade when you started. So you do so many different things, but one of the things that stands out for me is when you do this many different things, I think where a lot of people get stopped, and even me, I'm going to be honest right now, is thinking I only can be an expert in one thing, or I only have one thing to share. And so when there's another vertical to offer, like let's say I'm doing fitness and health coaching and consulting for people, which is what I do, and then all of a sudden I wanted to start doing something like teaching people how to play the piano. And so that might be something I'm interested in, I'm learning, but I might have a block here making me believe, hey, I don't deserve to, I'm a fitness guy, I don't deserve to do this. How did you get around to doing so many different things? How did you, you know, what's going on in your head to allow you to do this?
That's a great question. The first thing that I want everybody to know is that whenever you try something new, you're leaving your comfort zone, and it's going to feel, by nature, uncomfortable. My best example is I decided to be a singer-songwriter only 5 years ago. So my 15 albums have been created in just 5 years. But when I decided that being a musician was on my bucket list, and I had no former training as a guitar player or songwriter or singer or being in the studio making music, all of my fears came up because I was in a new area of expertise. If it comes to writing a book, I've already defeated all the beliefs about writing a book. I can write a book today and release it tomorrow. I mean, essentially, I can do that because there's no beliefs in me saying I can't. I've already proven I can do it. But when it came to recording music, it's a new field for me. And so all the beliefs, all the doubts, all the limitations in my head about who am I to write songs? Who am I to sing songs? Who am I to learn how to do this when I'm almost 60? And now I'm 63. All of that came up. What I've learned to do that's different from most people, and anybody can do this, is to question the beliefs, erase the beliefs, disable the beliefs, replace the beliefs, and now you're free to go ahead and produce whatever it is you happen to want to produce. I remember that when I decided to be a singer-songwriter, I attended a workshop with Ray Wiley Hubbard and Kevin Welch, who are singer-songwriters in Texas and very well known, worth checking out their music. And in that little workshop, Ray Wiley Hubbard said he still had beliefs that came up and doubts that came up about his abilities to perform or to sing or to write new songs. And he learned one question to ask, just one question. Where's the proof that you can't do this? Where's the proof that you can't do this? In reality, there is no proof that you can't do it, especially if you've never tried it before. There's no evidence that you can't do it at all. And so that carried me through to become a singer-songwriter at that period in time. And that, again, was me lifting out of the spiritual teacher, the author, the public speaker, the coach, the world traveler, and going into your example of learning how to play the piano and teaching other people. This was my example of doing something completely different. So the good news is, whenever you go after something new, you're going to feel uncomfortable, only because you left your comfort zone. It's natural. It doesn't mean don't do it. It doesn't mean stop. It's trying to signal you to take care of yourself because you're walking into a different area. And then the second part of it is, whatever those beliefs or doubts are, you can ask yourself, where's the proof? Where's the evidence that I can't learn to teach this, or to be an entrepreneur, or to make peace with money, or to fill in the blank?
I love it, Joe. Thanks for sharing that, because what I think is very valuable for the audience to take away from that is understanding, like, okay, anytime I try something new, right? Anytime it's the beginning of a new project, it's normal and it's natural always to feel these emotions or feel these ways. But where you took action was where you made sure every time you're in that situation, you then disable those limiting beliefs. And one of the ways that you said that you do that is, where is the proof that I can't do this, right? And you start asking yourself that question. And when you start asking yourself, where's the proof, and kind of question any belief, you kind of break it up, right? You kind of break up that belief, and it no longer has the 4 legs to stand on. So I think that that was, you know, very important for the audience to take away here, because I think it's going to be so helpful in them with the stigma of selling as well that we talked about earlier.
Right, right.
And then, so on that topic though, something else that maybe people didn't catch was how much you talked about different things that you've been trying and different things you've been doing. And so one of the things that you and I talked about it before the show that completely baffles me, and I talked about it with my girlfriend last night, I told you about, and I'm still trying to figure out, I was thinking about it last night, I was thinking about it all weekend, is, okay, you do so many things. You provide so much value in so many different avenues, Joe. How do you get all of this done? How do you write over 60 books? How do you learn how to become a songwriter and a musician, and then put out, you know, 15 different albums? Like, how do you do that? And that's just the tip of the, not even the tip of the iceberg of what you do. How do you do all of this? There's 24 hours in a day.
Yeah, I love the question, and I'm chuckling because I get the question quite a bit. These are big secrets though. I mean, this is simple, but they're the big secrets. The very first thing, I collapse all the beliefs about not being able to do it. That's the very first thing. What do most people do? They get an idea for a book, they get an idea for a business, they get an idea to do something, and they say, not me, not now, I don't have the money, don't have the education, don't have the connections, don't have the experience, and they go through all their excuses for not doing it right now. And I have learned that when you collapse all those excuses, which are just beliefs, there's nothing in the way of you starting right now, right in this moment. So that's the first thing I do, is I collapse all the beliefs around this. And I know when people first do it, they might need a coach, they might need a mentor, they might need an advisor, they might need to take a little time to dismantle those beliefs. But when you get rid of those blocks, you accelerate your success rate. You turbocharge your road to success when you get all of those filters out of the way, all of those excuses out of the way. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I look at ideas as gifts. So if I get an idea for a song, for a book, for a business, anything like that, I realize that didn't come from me. That came to me. I didn't pay for it. I didn't ask for it. I was open to it, and it descended on me by grace. And I'm thinking to myself, that is magic. When you think that ideas just kind of are floating around and one descends on you, I look at it as a gift. And in that moment of having an idea, we all know this feeling. There's a rush. There's an excitement. There's an energy that comes with it. I ride that energy to complete the idea. I'm pausing for that to sink in, because first of all, remember, if you don't have the negative beliefs, if you get rid of all the things that say you can't do it and you just start doing it, you can get things done faster. Second thing is, when most people get an idea, they write it down and they say, I'll get to it in a few weeks or a few months or in a few years. If they do go and get to it in a few weeks, months, or years, it's still a good idea, but the energy is gone that came with the idea. So when an idea descends upon me, I will do everything humanly possible to anchor it, or if possible, to actually complete it as close to the moment of its birth in my head as possible, because it came as a gift and it came with energy. Those two things alone have made me able to produce books, music, DVDs, digital programs, books, hundreds of websites. I mean, there is so much. People think I'm a force of nature because I'm creating all of this. But in reality, anybody can do it if you get out of your own way, get rid of your own beliefs, and take action when the excitement is there. Those are the key principles right there.
So that is so powerful, Joe, because the reason why that's powerful, especially to me, and where a lot of people are going to be thinking is like, okay, well, I have this to-do list, I have this calendar, I have these projects on the go. And when something inspiring comes in, they put it, like you said, they put it on the side. Oh, I'll get to it in 3 or 4 weeks. The energy is usually gone by then. Right. They're not motivated to do it. They don't follow through. It's happened to me many times before. I'm guilty of it. And so when I say that, Joe, are you saying then when things like that, when inspirational things come in, you then make a priority to handle the things that came from inspiration, and that maybe some of those things that we had on the to-do list, which aren't necessarily the most important things, we just do them because we want to make sure we're busy. Right. And are you saying that that's how you handle it, or what do you do for someone in that situation?
No, that's a great example. Well, first of all, we all do whatever, we all get done whatever we think is important. We all get done whatever we think is important. When I was living in Houston and I worked for an oil company and I hated the job, I cried driving to work 36 miles and I cried driving the 36 miles back home in the evening. But I also went in early to write my first book at the desk before anybody got there. I also, when everybody else at lunchtime went off to the woods and the different restaurants, I stayed and I wrote my book. And in the evening, when I got back and I did my workout and whatever else I did in the evening when I got home, I worked on my book. You make time for what's important to you. I think anything that comes to you from inspiration, it just kind of descends out of the divine or your unconscious, who knows where it comes from. I think it is priceless. And in many ways, it's holy. In many ways, it's a spiritual awakening. When something is descended upon you like that, you best honor it. Because when you honor it, first of all, you'll complete it, you'll bring it to market, and most of the time, the first to bring something to market is the first to profit from it and to get some sort of fame from it. So you want to be the first to do it. But also, when you honor inspiration, the very source that gave you that inspiration notices and says he or she will accept more, and you get more inspiration. There have been times over the decades where I thought, my goodness, I want to turn it off because there's so many ideas rushing in and inspiration coming in. But I've learned that those are all gifts and I want them to keep coming. This is why I keep having new products, new books, new CDs, new songs, all of this, because the inspiration says that guy is going to act on it. That guy is going to manifest it. That guy is going to birth it. So let's give that guy some more ideas. But this is true for any of us. You make time for what's important to you. And I am saying if it comes from inspiration, then bump off the dinner and social hour that you were going to have with somebody and sit down and produce the business or the cookbook or whatever it is that came to you as inspiration. Inspiration is more important in my worldview.
I love it. And you know what? Actually, my girlfriend and I were talking about, you just mentioned cookbook. We were talking about that last night. So you know what? That came from inspiration. We're both inspired to do it. Now we need to do it. And like you said, when you honor that, right?
Right.
When you honor that, you get more and more inspiration. And it's the same thing with abundance and money, right? I think when you're aware of opportunities, and I guess we'll kind of segue that way next. When you're aware of abundance and opportunities, and you notice actions that are producing that, and you continue to honor more that's coming in that allows you to do that, well, then you just keep getting more abundance. You get more opportunities to earn more money, more and more. Like what you notice and appreciate, you then get more of, right? Is that what you're saying too?
Well, yes, and that's the basic law of attraction right there. And people need to understand that if they're focusing on the negative, or they're focusing on what isn't working, or they're focusing on their problems, or they're focusing on negativity, or they're focusing on other people's problems, negativities, or whatever it is that's pulling them down, they will tend to get more of that. They've put all of their attention there. And the law of attraction is basically saying wherever you put your attention, you're going to receive a match to it. So if you're in this moment and you're focused on, well, I got these bills and I got these problems, the next moments are going to tend to match the energy of that moment you're already in. But the good news is, if you sit in this moment and you go, wow, what a wonderful world we live in. I've got these opportunities. I got this new product or this new inspiration that came to me. Look at what I'm getting to learn by being on Marc's webinar, Skypenar, whatever you call this thing. And it's free. You know, and they start to focus on, wow, I've got the gift of life, for one thing, which is, my God, how do you even talk about this? The gift of life is beyond priceless. And then you have this imbalance in the world, what I call the miraculous imbalance. And that is the idea that the earth is keeping you alive, that air is keeping you alive, that you're not floating around off your chair because gravity is keeping you in place, and your heart and your lungs and your brain and your eyes and all of this are working. All of it is working perfectly, and you're not paying for any of it. It's like this wonderful abundance that is brought onto you, and you start to move into this feeling of, and my energy goes up as I'm talking about this, you start to feel like there's this miraculous imbalance because you're given so much that you can't repay, ever. When you move into that space, you start to raise your vibration, and all your next moments are going to be tending to match this one, the good feeling, the prosperous feeling, the abundance feeling. And your mind will be open to see ideas for money, ideas for new businesses, ideas for new income, ideas for all kinds of wonderful things, all by changing your energy, your perspective, what Tony Robbins would call your state.
Beautiful. And Joe, you just actually inspired a new understanding of law of attraction to me. And so one of the things that when people watch the movie The Secret that they may get a misconception of is like, oh, if I sit there and I believe and think positively, right? They may get the misconception that, oh, all things are just going to come to me, right? But what you showed me there is, and you made very clear, is like, yes, by attracting these, thinking these in ways that are abundant, thinking the things that I want to think, what will allow that to flow through me is inspiration and ideas of ways that I could action that and make it happen in the physical world. Right. And so that's what you made the connection for me very, very clear there, and how it's a combination of action and where we put our focus and thoughts. But once we do that, we allow inspiration to give us the action that we should be doing. Hence you writing your books and all of the other projects you're working on, right?
Right. If I just sat there and continued to visualize books being written, but I don't actually get on the keyboard, I would be unheard of. Nobody would know me as an author. There would be no books written. Life is a co-creation. There is the law of attraction, and I love the movie The Secret. I would endorse it whether I was in it or not, because it's a nice introduction to a mindset people need to know about. But that's all it is. It's an introduction. It's not the full course on the law of attraction. There's also the law of right action. I'm actually in the movie The Secret saying that you need to take action. But people watch it and they kind of fog out over that part. They don't see anything about that. And they need to realize that if you actually want to manifest things, yeah, think it, yeah, believe it, yeah, visualize it, but yeah, get off your butt and actually do something to contribute to the manifestation of whatever it is that you want. So you're exactly right. You have to take action. It's not just dreaming it into being. You co-create it with your physical being.
Beautiful, beautiful way to kind of cap off that segment of the episode, Joe. Thank you so much. You know, one of the questions I kind of want to segue here, we got maybe a couple more, and then obviously I know you have a lot of projects to write, probably another book you're working on, and then I know there's some stuff that will be relevant to my audience that we want to hear about as well. But I wanted to ask you, I mean, there's a lot of people going out there now as business owners in the world, and so they're inspired now. They know that it's possible. They know how to think now. They know what they can start doing to start changing their beliefs to get them to take the actions that they need to take, right? But then they go out into the world and they recognize, especially if they're doing things online now, Joe, there's a lot of noise, right? There's a lot of noise. And then the other belief that comes up is like, well, how do I differentiate myself? There's already so many other people doing these things. How do I create my own world, if you will? How do I start getting noticed out there so that I can start attracting my ideal clients, so I can start serving people? And so I wanted to ask you, because being so great at copywriting and having so much things set up and proper funnels, email sequences, I subscribe to your stuff. I know it's valuable. I know it works. What would you recommend to that new entrepreneur trying to get out there in a noisy world? What's the first thing that they need to do? And you know, anything else that kind of pops from their mind that you think that they should be doing to get known?
Wow, that's a great question. It would probably take a couple hours to actually fully answer it. I would say, first of all, I want people to follow their passion. I want the entrepreneur to be looking at what excites them. What is their product or service that they're truly passionate about? And they might have to take a little bit of time to fine tune that and find a way to package that. But I remember back in Houston when I was trying to find my way, and I thought about, what do I really love? I love books. I'm a book addict. I'm a book nerd. I just love books. And I called myself the book specialist for a while. And I had business cards and I had the envelopes and all that that said the book specialist. And what I was doing was helping people write, publish, and promote their own books. And it was an extension of my passion, because if I love books so much and I can be around people who want to create books and I can help them create books, I would have more books in my life to feed my nerdy addiction and be paid for it. And so I think that's where people want to look first, is what is your passion? What is it that you would do even if you weren't paid? What is it you would do because it's fun for you to do? And maybe it was a hobby at one point and you can revisit it as a hobby. So you want to look at a passion and see if you can turn it into a profitable passion. And that's a mindset, that's a little bit of an exercise, but that's really important, because I don't want people to take a job just because they think it'll sell, or to take a product just because they think they can make money from it. Nothing wrong with money. I love money. I appreciate money. Money is a wonderful tool for good in the world, but passion is better. And passion is closer to your life mission and your life calling. So I want people to focus on, what is your passion? That's the first thing. The second thing to work on is, what segment of the audience, of the population of the planet Earth, 7 billion people here, what segment of them will like your passion? For example, years ago, I remember a guy listening to me in a talk, and he came up and he said, well, I just do gardening. He says, I can't imagine anybody would be interested in gardening. He says, I haven't even been doing it all that long. And I had to stop him and say, look, your passion is gardening. That's wonderful. But at the same time, there are millions of people who are into gardening, and most of them are starting out and know less than what you know. So if you can teach people what you know, but teach it to the segment of population that doesn't know what you know yet. So you're like the middle, you're the intermediate, or you're the advanced, and you want to reach the beginners. There's mailing lists for those people. There are Facebook group for those people. There are all kinds of ways you can find them on the internet these days, and for nothing, you can Google it and find all kinds of people. So I would say the two key things is, what is your passion? What is your specific market in the population? Everybody says, I want to serve everybody. No, you don't want to serve everybody. I'm an author. I would love all the people on the planet to read my books. Most of them are illiterate. Most of them don't read books. Most people haven't read a book since high school. Some people didn't read books in high school. So that's not my audience. I have to think about who is going to buy my books, who will read my books, who will keep my mission going and my passion going. So those are a couple things there. And I think the third is to be persistent. So you find your passion, you find your public, and then you want to be persistent in getting the word out about it. And in that persistence, you want to try a lot of different things. You're going to be doing emails, putting up websites, hopefully sending out news releases, hopefully getting on stage or in front of groups that are appropriate and talking to them about what you're doing. I wrote a book called There's a Customer Born Every Minute. There's a Customer Born Every Minute is about P.T. Barnum, the circus giant from the 1800s. But that man used 10 specific techniques to make himself world famous and still alive in our minds today. And those 10 techniques anybody can use today, especially with modern technology. So that book, if people don't want to buy it, it's on Amazon and all that. They can go to the library and get it. But I would strongly encourage them to read There's a Customer Born Every Minute. And I'll stop there.
Perfect, Joe. Thank you so much for that. I had a couple more questions. So one of them is, because as you mentioned that copywriting, you mentioned writing emails. Yes. And I think that's such an important skill. And I want to make a delineation, because as we get into more of what people are calling like video age, or video is the time of now, some people may have the misconception that they don't need to become as effective copywriters. But I'm telling you, obviously from my experience, it works, because when I read something that you write, I'm engaged and I'm like the story. I'm following it as if it's me, and I'm reading it, and then I want to, obviously subscribe or buy the product or service that you have to offer, because you know how to copyright, right?
I almost want to jump out of my seat, Mark, because this is so freaking important. Everything, all of my successes, no matter what you attribute it to, all goes back to one thing. Copywriting. I use my copywriting skills, obviously, when I write websites, when I write emails, when I write sales letters, when I write news releases. But what most people don't realize, when I do interviews like this, I speak as a copywriter. I think about what's in it for you. I think about your benefits. Yes, I tell stories, which is a powerful copywriting tool. And often the stories are about me, but I have a conclusion that's for you. When I was in the movie The Secret, there's 24 teachers in that movie. I and 3 other teachers are the ones who stand out. The only reason I stand out that I'm aware of is that I spoke as a copywriter. I even at one point leaned into the camera and said, I'm going to get in your face right now. That is pure copywriting. That is pure attention getting. People talk about videos today. I have made so many videos. I'm in 15 movies. I make all kinds of videos for the Awakened Millionaire Academy. When I make them, I talk right to you, which is a copywriting technique. Most people make videos or write things and they talk to everybody. Everybody isn't your audience. One person is, the person looking right now. So I talk to one person. I'm doing it as a copywriter. When I have lunches or masterminds or dinners or coffee with people, I speak as a copywriter because in my head, I'm thinking, they don't give a shit about me. I have to speak in their terms and about what they get or they're tuning out. They'll be looking at me, but they won't see me because they will have tuned out. Copywriting is a foundation exercise that influences everything we do, whether it's video, whether it's audio, whether it's print, whether it's graphics, all of this stuff. Words are visual. A lot of people say that we don't need copywriting because we live in this visual world. Words are visuals. Words themselves conjure up images, which is copywriting. And words themselves can direct, influence, persuade the human mind, which is copywriting. I wrote a book called Hypnotic Writing, which is out there. It's as an ebook and on Amazon, but it was my first ebook. It's now published as a paperback. And that goes into some of my principles of copywriting that anybody could use and then very easily slide them into their social engagements, their social media, their webinars, their Skype calls, the Google Talks, the videos, everything. Copywriting is that important.
Oh my God! Yeah, you just wow. I can hear your passion. You come so alive when just expressing that topic because it is so important. So people that want to learn, because they need to learn how to do this. If they're getting into the online game, it doesn't matter if they're doing video. It doesn't matter if they're doing emails. They need to know how to do this to effectively communicate with their audience and sell their product and service. And you mentioned a very good, very, very important resource. They can learn how to do copywriting from you. From you specifically, Joe. You said you had a book, and that book was called, Hypnotic
Writing.
Hypnotic copywriting or hypnotic writing?
Hypnotic Writing.
Hypnotic writing. Okay, and is that it? Can they go to hypnoticwriting.com?
I actually don't know. I would just send them, I would send them to Amazon. Go to Amazon and type in Hypnotic Writing. It'll come up, or type in my name, Joe Vitale, and it'll come up.
Beautiful. Well, again, Joe, thank you so much for jumping on the show here today.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure.
One of the things I wanted to ask you before we leave the audience, I like to leave the audience with a little bit of homework. But I was going to say, before we jump in, is there's one thing you would, if it's a piece of advice that you would give to a brand new entrepreneur as something maybe you would have done differently when you first started out, what would that one thing be?
That's a great question. I would say declaring a clear intention for what you want out of your life and your business, or you can pick one or the other, but stating a clear intention of what you want to have, do, or be out of your business life, that will frame and direct your life experience. So have an intention. Like my life intention is to inspire people to go for their dreams through my books, through my speaking, through events like this. I want to inspire people. And of course, I want to profit from that. And I can fill it out even more. But I think people need to have an intention that describes where they want to be in 6 months or a year, and make it measurable in some way. How much money? What are you doing? What have you accomplished? Something that's visual, something that's concrete, something they can look at every day and get a little jolt of energy when they look at it. Like, oh yeah, that's what I want. That's what I'm going for. That kind of a feeling. I would say that's what comes to mind.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. So guys, for homework today, okay, here we go, a little homework section, okay? The one thing I want you guys to take away, and Joe can add to this if anything comes top of mind, but I would actually give that as a piece of homework. New entrepreneurs, be clear on what your intention is. What is your intention for your business? What is your intention for your health? What is your intention for your life? And if you can't think too far down the road, even start with something as simple as the next 6 to 12 months, something you could wrap your head around at the very least. And from there, if you're someone that, number two would be if you have any stigma associated with selling, to actually start looking into what Joe said and start questioning those beliefs. What is the proof that I don't deserve to be offered this? What is the proof that I can't do this? Question those beliefs, flip them on their head, make them weaker, and then start replacing them with more empowering beliefs. And then to each day, take a step forward and see the progress that you're making. And Joe, did you want to add anything in there that you think could be value to the audience there?
Well, I want to remind people that I have a book that can walk them through a whole lot of this mindset and prosperity paradigm shift that they want to go through. And it's called Attract Money Now. And it's free. They can go to www.attractmoneynow.com and they can download the PDF. I think an audio version and a printed version is on Amazon. Those would cost money, but if you want to have those, go to Amazon and look up Attract Money Now. But if you want to read it for free, just go to attractmoneynow.com. There's 7 steps in there that I think are really priceless. These 7 steps are what moved me out of homelessness and poverty into independently wealthy. And the very first one deals with mindset. They're all easy. I can't read the book for people. I can't do the exercises for people, but I'm giving them the book. So if you want to give them that as homework, go get Attract Money Now, read it, work the exercises, and note the transformation that takes place.
Guys, you heard it from Joe. attractmoneynow.com, or you can go to Amazon and buy the actual physical copy of the book. That is actually very valuable homework because it touches on everything that we just talked about today, especially from that mindset component, and will really help transform your guys' life and your business. And I believe, Joe, there's also something else you're working on right now that could be of value to my audience. And I wanted to, so it's the Awakened Millionaire course that you have right now that could be a lot of value. Could you tell us a little bit about that and where we can get it?
Yeah, this is the most important paradigm shifting program I've created out of my entire life. I wrote a manifesto. It's called The Awakened Millionaire. It's on Amazon right now. The Kindle version, printed version, audio versions, all on Amazon. And The Awakened Millionaire is the idea of awakening our spirituality and awakening our passion and making peace with the material so that we can be spiritual people on the material plane and enjoying life and all the wonderful parts of it, whether we want a car or we want a bigger business or a nice house or travel or whatever it happens to be. And I've created a movement. So this isn't just a message. This isn't just a manifesto. This is a movement. The Awakened Millionaire Academy. You can go to the awakenedmillionaireacademy.com and check that out. Get into it, find out what it's all about. There's a Facebook group called the Awakened Millionaire Academy as well. But the big thing is get the manifesto, because that'll light a fire under you. That'll get you thinking. That'll make peace with money. That'll awaken your spirituality and the passion part of it. And when you can have passion and profit, you can make a difference in your life and you can make a difference in everybody's life at the same time. So this is really important, and thank you for asking. But check out the book, The Awakened Millionaire. It's on Amazon as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all of the value there that you provided, Joe. And obviously, man, thank you so much for, I mean, there's always something of value that you're working on for my audience. And so I'm glad that you were able to jump on and share. And everyone that's listening, if you want to be kept up to more updates on what the next week's episodes are and who the guests are going to be, go ahead to marcgaudett.com. You can see it on the lower third here, Marc with a C, Gaudett, GAUDETT.com, and subscribe to the email list, and you'll be kept up to date on your next week's free training, as well as the guests and the topic that are going to be speaking on. So I want to thank you guys for joining and tuning in. I hope you guys got a lot of value. And again, I'm going to stop saying the word hope, Joe, because my intention is that everyone watching got value in what something that they needed to hear. Yes, an aha moment.
Exactly right.
And thank you.
Thank you for having me on the show, and Godspeed to all your viewers.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure to have you, Joe. And everyone, apply these actions, do your homework, and watch things take off for you. We'll see you on next week's episode.